Got the Cleveland Cavaliers, Brooklyn Nets playing game recap. Final score ended up being Cleveland Cavaliers 108, Brooklyn Nets 115. The Brooklyn Nets advance to face the Boston Celtics, the second seed Boston Celtics, as the Brooklyn Nets are going to be the seventh seed. The Cleveland Cavaliers, they go ahead and advance. Well, excuse me, they have to play another play-in game for them to be able to advance into the playoffs if they win, depending on what happens tomorrow between the Atlanta Hawks and the Charlotte Hornets. Now, a couple things that stood out to me as far as the Brooklyn Nets. That's very, very concerning because I know prior other pods we've had, I spoke highly of the Brooklyn Nets as far as them being able to be championship contenders. And I'm going to go ahead and take a step back on that because during the course of this game it has been very, very concerning looking at how the Brooklyn Nets have played. Like, it just came down to a damn near perfect performance between Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, where Kevin Durant ended up putting up 25 points, 11 assists, and Kyrie Irving was almost damn near perfect during the whole course of the game, him putting up 34 points and 12 assists. Um, like, these are the kind of games where just looking at this game in particular, where this game came down to the wire, where they both ended up putting up more than 20 points. Like, the Brooklyn Nets are going to have to find a way to find a third scorer possibly, as we move forward into the playoffs. Bruce Brown did step up in this game, as far as being that third option, but definitely need to find a consistent third scorer, moving forward, because once we get deeper into the playoffs, for example, we end up going against Boston this Sunday. They're going up against Jalen Brown and they're going up against Jason Tatum, who's going to be able to put up some points. So we looking at defensively for the Brooklyn Nets, they struggled, and that's a team definitely that's as far as the Celtics are going to be able to put up some points. Um, Other thing I wanted to put out is, like, again, it's the bench play when Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant are on the floor, they have a hard time of finding ways to put the ball into the hoop. And it's gonna come down to minutes. It's really gonna come down to minutes where Kyrie's gonna have to be on the if one is not on the floor, the other one definitely has to be on the floor for them to be able to put up points, because we don't want this any game during the playoffs for the Brooklyn Nets to come down to it being the opposing team making a comeback during the course of the second half due to the fact that we can't put up any points as far as our bench players. Now, again, I want to go back to as far as defensive matchups, because of the fact that the Brooklyn Nets, I feel like they got away with it a lot, this evening versus the Cleveland Cavaliers. Because, to be honest with you, when I look at the Cleveland Cavaliers, they missed out on so many opportunities because they have a they have the mismatch, big huge matches versus the Brooklyn Nets, where you could have came out and had Evan Mobley out on the floor at at a point in time with Kevin Love, with Markkinen, along with Osman, and I felt like they could have been extremely dominant versus their very, very small lineup. Like, Kevin Love came in during the course of the first half and was a key contributor in that second quarter. We ended up cutting the game down close. Um, and it just came and during the course of the game, when the Brooklyn Nets end up missing shots, it came down to knowing what the matchup was. There were multiple times where I saw Seth Curry on Markkinen or on Kevin Love. Like those are the favorable matchups that I'm talking about as far as the Cleveland Cavaliers just missed out on opportunities during the course of the game. Obviously, Evan Mobley was dominant during the course of this game as for him being able to get second chance buckets and also doing his thing on the block as well. But if the Cleveland Cavaliers get another opportunity, which they definitely will be, because it's looking like it's looking like Jared is going to be coming back for this game. Whoever wins between the Atlanta Hawks and the Hornets, it's going to be huge for the Cleveland Cavaliers because their defense has struggled since he hasn't been on the floor. Um, it's definitely going to be interesting for the Cleveland Cavaliers moving forward, and I strongly believe they definitely need another contributor too as well. Maybe due to the spark of Kevin Love coming off the bench, maybe he can do that for them. But as far as them solely relying on Darius Garland for him to put up all the points, is going to be hard. It's going to be hard in the playoffs because defense is a lot more physical, and they're going to force you to do other things, and you're going to have to be able to make adjustments during the course of the game. Um, Now back to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Excuse me, the Brooklyn Nets. Back to the Brooklyn Nets. I wanted to say just looking forward to the Celtics. And we talking about the small matchups. Bruce Brown is about 6'3", 6'4". Seth Curry's about 6'3". Kyrie's about 6 feet, 6'2". Kevin Durant, obviously 7 feet. Who's gonna be checking? Like somebody's got to check Jalen Brown or whoever Kevin Durant's checking. Somebody got to check Jalen Brown. That's going to be extremely concerning for me for the Brooklyn Nets moving forward into the playoffs. Like I said, also it comes down to where the buckets coming from. I like what Bruce Brown also brought to the table as him being that second. Let me excuse me, that third option on that pick and roll that he was running with Kevin Durant towards the end of the game, where he was able to make the right decision, hitting Claxton a couple of times, and also trying to hit it with that floater as well. But we gotta get Seth Curry involved. They somehow got to get Seth Curry involved in these playoffs, and it leads to my next question because there is a possibility. There's a big, huge possibility that they could possibly get Ben Simmons back. I just went a brain fart just now. They could possibly get a Ben Simmons back. So that would mean that they would have to move Bruce Brown to the bench. And honestly, I think that's what they're going to end up doing because of the fact that I would move Seth Curry to the bench because he's your spacer. He's your floor spacer. You can't do it. So I as much as they was talking about Bruce Brown during the course of this game, as far as him trying to find his role for the Brooklyn Nets, I think this is going to be detrimental. It's literally going to be detrimental. But at the same time, he could possibly lead that second unit. He could possibly lead that second unit if Ben Simmons is going to be available for that that round one matchup versus the Boston Celtics. Now, as far as him being as much as how much he's going to be a contributor for them, that's going to be the question because there's something they're talking about 15 minutes. I'm talking about 20 minutes. Really, how much could he contribute considering the fact that he hasn't played since last year's playoffs, and what could he possibly do? Now, personally, I'm not expecting him to do anything offensively. Really, I would just expect him just to come in and be able to play defense. That's it. Play defense, and I feel like they have been they have been kind of like I feel like the Brooklyn Nets has kind of been toying with us a little bit as far as the severity of what the timetable was for Ben Simmons being able to come back. But I really think he should be ready. I think he'll be ready. It's magically, he's just going to be ready for the matchup versus the Boston Celtics. Now it's going to be key. It's definitely going to be key because they're going to need him defensively. Again, Jalen Brown and Jason Tatum. They're going to be some tough. They're going to be some tough matchups. And right now, the Brooklyn Nets do not have the player personnel to be able to handle that. And I strongly believe this is this will probably be the second best matchup for the Brooklyn Nets to possibly face right now in the first round because anybody else, I don't think they could possibly beat. Maybe maybe the Bulls, maybe the 76ers, and maybe the Heat. But outside of that, I really don't see them beating anybody else right now. I don't even see them beating the Milwaukee Bucks right now because of the fact that they lack so much on defense. But we'll definitely see. We're going to continue to watch these playing games. Currently sitting right now, I'm watching the Los Angeles Clippers and the Minnesota Timberwolves as we see. It's like 12-11 right now in the first quarter. So there's a lot more ball game to go. But hey, playoffs about to be exciting, man. Like the Brooklyn Nets coming in as a 7 seed. A lot of folks believe that they can come in and they can win it all if Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving are clicking on all cylinders. But there's definitely gonna be some games where they're gonna be cold. So we definitely gonna see.
Nah, for the bay. Nah, for the bay. We don't care what you say. Nah, for the bay. Nah, for the bay. Nah, for the bay. We ain't hearing what you say. Nah, for the bay. Fire!